Smack. Okay, and so we will get one of these rigid bodies in place, and I think what we want to do is we want to create a group for enemies. So let's grab our Viper, go over to this node and select groups, and let's add the enemies. Whoops, not what I want. The enemies group, right? And we want to add the Viper, right? Cool. So, fantastic. Okay, let's commit some code before we do anything else, because I think that's quite useful. So we will say this is bullets exploding with effects, right? And then what? Okay, so our bullets are colliding with stuff, but we want to say we've just added our Viper into the enemies group, and then what we can say here is if body dot group name is equal to, we'll say, enemies group. Okay, then we'll just pass, but up here let's create our constant and say the enemies group is equal to the string enemies. Okay, so if we're colliding with the enemy, then what we want to do is we want to say body dot die. We just want to kill the enemy, and then we need to implement die on the Viper. So let's grab this and say func die, and I think what we need is we could actually create a scene with a timer, and that timer could just be a generic death timer, and then we could essentially use that for all of our deaths, which isn't actually a bad idea. A reusable death timer. I mean, we could just do like timer dot instance. I don't know. I don't know what the best method is here, but let's just create a timer and call it death timer, and I think we will say like 2, and I want to add an animated sprite here, which is going to be like an explosion. So say animated sprite. And what are you complaining? No frames. Cool. So let's create some sprite frames, and let's grab these effects here. And in fact, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a new scene, like a generic explosion scene, and we'll say effects. Okay, and let's create a new scene, and we'll just say that's like an explosion. Where'd that go? Oh yeah, I forgot. And it's just going to be an animated sprite to begin with, I believe. Okay, save the scene, and we need to set up our frames. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my file system and pull some assets from our art pack. Okay, and let's paste those into our effects. And are these all just... yeah, I don't know. Okay, I think we can just drag them into this frames thing. Okay, sorry. So let's just drag these frames in here and see if it works. Didn't look like it worked. It's been a while since I've done an animated sprite, actually. Okay, here we go. Cool. And we want at least 30 frames a second, right? Okay. And what does that look like? Pretty crazy. Maybe we want less. And turn off the loop. So basically we start playing. We just set the frame. Cool. Alright. So this is just going to be the explosion. And we can add a quick little script to this and say const total frames is equal to 8, right? And on process we can get the current frame and we can say frame, okay, if frame is less than total frames over 2, then early return. Okay, and otherwise say our modulate.a is equal to our frame plus total frames over 4. Is that going to work? No. So frame plus total frame. Okay, so let's do it this way. So we say the var half frames is equal to 12 frames, right? And then we say the frame is less than half the frames, return, otherwise set our modulate alpha equal to our frame over half the frames, right? Half frames minus the frame over half the frames, right? So that will like fade it out towards the end, halfway through the animation. And what we can do as well is grab this animated and just copy, which is that copy? Insert empty. Okay, cool. So we'll insert one empty frame there and say if we're on the last frame, just die. Yeah? So you can say if frame is equal to total frames, no, greater than, then queue free. What are you complaining about? Well, you're complaining because we're not using the delta. What are you complaining about? Integer division. Oh, we'll do a float division. Cool. So that's a really simple explosion effect. Let's see if it actually works. So when the Viper dies, what do we do? Well, let's pass for now so we can at least build the scene. Okay, so we are going to need a reference to the explosion scene. So let's grab the explosion, and that is equal to the preloaded value. Preloaded value, okay, of effects slash explosion dot text scene. Cool. And then when we need an explosion, we say var explosion is equal to an explosion instance. We're going to say the explosion dot position is equal to our position, and then we are just going to queue free, right? So we can just die immediately and just. Oh, one thing we can't do is we can't forget to get our parent and add the explosion as a child to the tree. Cool, cool, cool. So let's have a look how that works, if it works at all. Smack. Whoa. Okay, group name didn't work. Let me remember how to get a group in Godot. Godot get group. think that was the one there. Okay. Get groups. So get groups dot set includes dot let's just check. It should be an array. So find has. Yep. Has. So we say if we get the groups and it has the enemy's group in it, then we just call die on the enemy, right? I might just put that at the top before we start anything else. Cool. So let's see if this works. Smack. Okay, I didn't see the explosion though. Which is unfortunate. So our enemy's getting a little confused in this maze, but it's fine. Hello. Smack. I guess we set it to frame. Oh, I know why. Yeah, we set to frame 0, and when the Viper dies, we say the position is position, and we say explosion dot play. In fact, we can just do it immediately after we add it to the tree. Okay, cool. And I think that should work finally. It's not a fantastic effect, because we need better art. And it's way too small. Smack. Okay, so let's just scale up the sprite. By about 3. Okay. Probably need some sort of shader or... There we go. So when our letter hangs about, so I'd quite like to be able to like home in on enemies. Oops. Okay, so let's just